Okay, hey Jacob, thanks for coming in today. Hope you were able to find the office okay and everything. Yeah. How's your day been so far?
Pretty good.
Good, nice, yeah. So, it's your first visit. That's exciting. I'm really glad that you chose to come in. We're gonna kind of start out by getting some info from you, and I'll tell you a bit about myself too. So I'm a nutritional therapist. I graduated from Chico State a couple years ago with a degree in nutrition. I've been working here for about a year now, and maybe we'll establish a bit of a repeating interview so we can kind of build on our sessions as we go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So today's session we have a budget of about 30 minutes. So I'm going to try and get a bunch of background information on you, and that might take a little bit, but we'll build on that, and we'll use that continually throughout the time that we see each other.
Perfect.
Then we're going to talk about what you're looking to accomplish from our session today, and then we're going to also talk about how you might make some changes or what you'd like to do to implement those changes. And then if you'd like, we can set a reschedule at the end.
Okay.
So how does that all sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. So let's start out, and if it's okay with you, I'd like to take notes on anything that I think might be helpful later. Perfect. And is addressing you as Jacob okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So why don't you tell me about yourself? Tell me about your daily life and any background information you might think is important.
So I'm currently a nutrition student at CSU Chico, and so I bike to school and home generally, except recently my bike lock broke, so I've been getting rides from my girlfriend because I don't want to leave my bike outside unlocked, although I've done that a couple times and it's really stressful.
Oh no.
Yeah, but so yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of unstructured physical activity with that and walking around campus and stuff. So that's, basically the unstructured part of my physical activity, and then I've been trying to get back into the gym lately because I had an injury in my shoulder a while ago that just pretty demotivating,
Yeah.
So like my eating habits are, catered around that. So like when I'm going to the gym, I'll eat before and after, that sort of thing. So that's sort of how my eating habits are arranged. Sometimes I tend not to eat earlier in the day just because my appetite isn't there. And I'll feel like nauseous if I eat in the morning. So depending on my classes of the day, like if I have an 8 a.m. class like I do on Mondays and Wednesdays, I have class from 8 until 10 because I have 2 classes back to back, and then I have a gap. So I'll eat during that gap, but before that I'm just sort of like in class, and like sometimes I get hungry, but usually I'm just like, I won't even get hungry until after that class. So then I'll either go to the gym or whatever and then come home, maybe make something more substantial. I usually have like eggs, toast, avocado in the morning, maybe a banana, that sort of thing, and then like whatever protein shake after I go to the gym. And then, the dinner is where I have a lot of like variety in my diet. So like sometimes I'll have, like salads with different veggies, and like I'll have like arugula or spinach or lettuce, different greens that I'll have. And then like I try to eat, at least one source of like vitamin A a day. Like I'll eat like a sweet potato or carrots or whatever, like orange vegetables, and yeah. So, and then like whatever my girlfriend's eating definitely affects how I eat, just like I'm sure most people. So, and she doesn't eat meat, so like I tend to eat a lot less meat than I did before, but I still do eat meat. But yeah, I use my FitnessPal a lot, and so basically what I do is like I eat whatever I eat during the day, and then my dinner, I just fit into my macros that I have wiggle room left for at the end of the day. So
yeah, so it sounds like you are really focused on giving your body what it needs, and also focusing on your physical health. You mentioned things like what you eat before and after you go to the gym, and just not having an appetite in the morning. What other things do you think influence your food choices, like specifically maybe around dinner time?
Well, so around dinner time, I definitely like to have, just because the way I was raised, like I'll have like a plate with like, starchy vegetables like potatoes or maybe rice or pasta or whatever, and then I'll have meat, and then I'll have like veggies, like whatever on the side. and then like it's not like my plate where I have a glass of milk with everything. But you know, it's generally like a pretty, you know, diverse dinner. And sorry, I kind of forgot what the question was.
That's okay. I think that we'll. I'm gonna write down MyFitnessPal because that might come up later.
Yeah.
I think that might be a really good tool. We can kind of go into how you're using it now and how it might help you in the future too.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we can talk about what you were looking to accomplish through our sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of goals are you looking for?
The main goal I have is to just like fix my after dinner eating. So like I said, like I'll look at where I'm at in the day, and then I'll shape my dinner around what's left over. But then after dinner, I find that sometimes I'll either over or underestimate how much I needed to eat for dinner, and so I'll eat maybe like 8-ish, or you know, from 6 to 8:30, and then like if I'm going to bed at like 11, it's almost always fine. But if I stay up late, just like distracted by whatever's on TV, it just keeps auto playing the next thing, then I'll be going to bed like 1:32, especially if it's like closer to 2. I'm laying in bed and I can't get to sleep because I'm hungry again. And then I have to get up, I have to go eat, I have to, you know, I brushed my teeth already, and I have to get up, eat, brush my teeth again, and I'm like, well, I just finished eating, I'm brushing my teeth, and now, like, if you just ate and then you immediately brush your teeth, I feel like gross still, like I need to wait for like that salivary amylase to like get rid of everything. Like you can't just rush that. But so then it's like 2:30, and then I'm like super like zombied out the next morning, and then like that will affect my eating habits the next day, and so it's like a snowball effect. But yeah, I think that mostly, I've talked about in class with different professors that like, you know, calculating your energy needs isn't an exact science, and also like there's so much variation in, you know, your day-to-day life. You might not realize that you were, you know, using a lot of energy for something, and then you're more hungry than you would normally be, or you know, your metabolism is just different day to day. So you know, maybe not taking what MyFitnessPal tells me to eat as, you know, the gospel, that's exactly what I need to eat, and just, you know, more thinking about my internal hunger cues or whatever. So it
sounds like, you know, maybe during the end of the day, right before bed, is when you're experiencing eating habits that you don't feel are nourishing you and benefiting you, but you're really focused on what you're eating throughout the day, and you find that you're really hitting your target and your goals throughout the day. Have you thought of any, you know, solutions or habits or lifestyle changes that you thought about implementing to maybe move forward with this?
Well, I think the main one is just getting into better sleep habits. Like I think they call it sleep hygiene, is like, you know, keeping your phone out of, like, don't use your phone in your bed, don't do anything in bed except sleep, basically, and then that sort of thing. So just being better about sleep, and then also like, I guess it's just another thing where like my girlfriend has different habits than me, and just like with food, with sleep, she's just a night owl, so it's just it never even occurs to her before 11 to go to bed. So I've always been, you know, kind of a night owl myself, but like in recent years I've been sort of realizing how it affects me, you know, staying up late, especially watching TV or playing games or whatever, that it's important to me and it's not important to her, and that's sort of, you know, point of contention. Is just annoying that, you know, like I want to go to bed and like she'll be like, no, and it's like, okay, well, just let me, don't make me feel bad, that's just, you know. So like I've tried to tell her that, but I think it's just something that I just need to like, you know, be more like, I guess, stern about, or like, you know, stubborn, or whatever you want to call it. Like I just need to do that because it's what's best for me, and not worry about what other people think.
Yeah, so maybe something like establishing your own health guidelines that you find work best for you.
Especially on certain nights, like on Sunday night before my Monday 8 a.m. and on Tuesday night before my Wednesday 8 a.m. Those are nights where, especially if I stay up past 1 on those nights, that's really bad, because then I have to get up at 7 by at least 7:15. So like, yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's hard to go through your day starting off with little sleep.
Yeah.
Well, so having more energy and getting better rest, that's a huge benefit, and that'll probably cascade through your entire day and your week. If you were to make some of these changes, like not eating so late at night or staying up so late, what do you think would be some other potential benefits that you might see?
Well, I think just being more well rested helps me feel more focused and have more energy to do things like go to the gym or plan out my meals ahead, or to do like to make a meal that might take more effort, like more prep or whatever. Speaking of which, I forgot to start soaking my beans for tomorrow. But anyways, but so like that's its own thing where there are definite benefits to having more sleep. But then at the same time, when I have the lack of sleep, it's not just the lack of those benefits, but then it's like in my head I just get like so bummed out. I'm like, oh, I got like 5 hours of sleep last night. I feel like crap, and it's mentally like it puts me in a negative headspace too. So like I could work on being more positive about that and thinking, okay, I can't do anything about what I did last night. I can just do better going forward.
Yeah.
Not focus on, not dwell on the past, and just sort of like try and, set better boundaries about, bedtime or whatever.
Yeah, self-forgiveness is really important to move forward and just know that you're doing the best that you can. And, from everything that I've heard from you so far, you're doing a lot for yourself. You're really taking care of yourself and nourishing yourself as best as you can. And I think that increasing your sleep is going to be super supportive for your lifestyle, especially as a student. So when it comes to eating at night, when we talked about what kinds of things influence your food choices throughout the day, it was really about fitness and health and macros and micros. You with your nutrition background, you're seeing all of that. But what kinds of things do you think influence your eating habits in those late night food choices?
I think it's almost all just like what I'm craving, which during the day that almost has nothing to do with it. So maybe I should, cater more to my cravings during the day and not worry about what fuel I need. Like, so I think that might be a way to help manage that. But also at the same time, it's just like when I get tired, it's not even craving so much as like boredom and just that the whole association with sitting in front of a TV. I need something to just shovel in my mouth, when I don't really feel that during the day, but at night it's just whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just nice to be crunching on popcorn or whatever. So
yeah. So what do you kind of already know about the idea of eating partially for nutrition and partial for pleasure?
I saw something in class today about that, but
oh yeah.
So not other than that. I mean, I understand the concept, and that's sort of what I was like, talking about a little bit, but like I don't know much about it. I just saw like 90-10, 80-20, etc.
Yeah.
So like I mean, I feel like maybe I've been like too strict or whatever lately, but and I think that also goes hand in hand with the fact that like I'm eating, using my fitness pal, eating a certain way right now, when like I don't do that necessarily year round. Especially like if I go home, it's just such a hassle because I'm just like very particular, and I like to weigh things out with a scale and not use I go home and I don't know where the measuring cups are. They don't have like a scale or whatever. So
home to your parents' house?
Yeah, my parents' house. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or if I'm going to visit my grandparents or wherever, it's just it's just a hassle and it's annoying.
And would you say that your eating habits change a lot during those visits? Well,
it's just sort of flying by the seat of my pants, so to speak. Like just like, oh, grandma made muffins, I'll have a muffin, and then it's like 9 a.m. and I already had breakfast. Now I'm having a muffin, so it's just like, then I'm gonna crash, and then I'm gonna have like a huge lunch, that sort of thing. So like, I mean, I recognize when that sort of thing's happening, but I have like a sort of an all or nothing mentality that I can't really like explain other than saying that like, when I'm tracking everything I eat in the day, it makes me feel like stress free, like I don't have any anxiety. But like if I were to, and also like if I'm not really counting what I'm eating or keeping track, it's like I'm not really stressed about it. But if I ate a breakfast and I didn't pay attention to what it was or how much I ate, and then later in the day, if I were to try and start tracking it, I would be just so pissed that I don't know what my breakfast was, that, like, it just would feel futile and weird. And I just sort of, I think when I'm, keeping track of everything that I eat, maybe I should be a little more lenient on,
Okay.
and not give in to cravings, but sort of like cater to them and fit them in earlier in the day rather than just like having dinner for my meal to like, have, play with or whatever. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, and that's something that we really are going to probably talk about in our application part of this. I think that stuff that I've learned throughout this and through other clients is that eating for partial pleasure throughout the day can really help with feeding those needs and not resulting in late night cravings or subduing a food desire to come back to us later. Being able to eat in the moment. And you following routine and a tracking and a schedule. How would you say that has benefited you by implementing this tracking and organized eating?
Well, the main thing is like when I'm not tracking what I eat, I notice my weight will just go up, it'll go down. Like if I'm not paying attention, like I've had times where like I'll just end up that I'm not paying attention, and my family will just be like, Jake, you're eating like a rabbit lately. Like I'll just eat like nuts and seeds and like dried fruit. Like that's like it for a few like weeks, and then like I've suddenly lost a bunch of weight because I'm not eating like substantial meals. And then like sometimes I'll just like gain a few pounds in like in a couple weeks, just because I'm like because I'm just not paying attention, I'm just eating more or whatever. And then like when I do track what I eat, I can pretty much move the needle whichever direction I'm trying to.
Yeah.
So and like when I am gaining weight, when I'm tracking what I'm eating and I'm going to the gym consistently, it feels better than when I'm just eating whatever and maybe going to the gym too. But like I just feel better about consistent progress in one way or the other. So like right now I'm eating to maintain weight and it's working really well. I'm not going up, not going down, besides normal fluctuations in water or whatever. But so that just makes me feel a lot more comfortable because, like I said, I just have a little bit of anxiety about that sort of thing, just in general. So.
Yeah, well, maybe you can you tell me more about the anxiety around just food and maybe weight fluctuation and knowing what you're eating?
Well, I think it comes a lot from like in high school. I guess even in middle school. My parents, I guess I was having trouble like focusing or whatever in middle school. Like a lot of kids, especially boys, like they get diagnosed with ADHD, and I was too. And like whether or not I have ADHD or not is irrelevant. What is relevant is they put me on like stimulants, which I was like allergic to one, which was a whole thing. But I was on stimulants, like various ones, and it would be on like extended release in the morning, and then after school an instant release, which is like a lot especially for a small child. So like especially in high school, like I would drive to school and I would have cereal before I go to school, and then I would work in the cafeteria, so I would always get free pizza. So I'd eat pizza and then like Chex Mix or whatever, and like I've never been like a soda drinker or whatever, but like that those drugs would totally kill my appetite until probably like late at night or whenever they wear off. But like what it did to me is it made my energy fluctuations completely independent of what I ate. So I'd be high energy in the morning, crash after school, have the whatever next dose of whatever stimulants, and then I would be like like evened out, and then I would crash again in the evening. But what I ate was all disconnected from my hunger cues. It was all just like, eat in the morning because it's breakfast time, eat at lunch because this is free and it's hyper palatable pizza. It's like you can always stuff pizza and Chex Mix down. But then basically what ended up happening is like late at night and like in front of the TV or wherever, I would just eat and eat and eat. And And then I did sports a lot. Like basketball practice would be kind of late, like 8-ish, and I would like crash, and then I would be like low energy at practice, and I just feel like crap. And so that made me just not like sports or exercise at all.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I quit, and then like that was the whole thing. And then like basically, I had my hunger cues completely disconnected from from my body signals. So, or my eating times were just completely disconnected from what my body actually needed. So so it was just like hard to like reconnect with that, and it's just hard to trust myself to reconnect with that because it seems like it's just so slippery. Like they just disconnect. So that's like I said, like when I'm eating without paying attention, it'll go one way or the other, and it just kind of happens. And it's whatever. It might have to do with stress or whatever, but tracking it works for me. So
yeah. Well, you have made quite the food journey then, and I commend you on that. You've come quite the way, and also, I think it's really interesting to understand, why people like yourself get into nutrition.
Yeah.
You really have a lot of life experience that's going to be super valuable. When maybe one day you're sitting in my chair. And I think that your ability to recognize that you were out of touch with your hunger cues lends itself to seeing how you recognize that as a valuable part of our food consumption. Can you tell me, or tell me how you feel about, your in tuneness with your hunger cues and hunger and satiety cues now?
Well, it takes a lot of effort for me to be in tune with them because, like I said, like even if I have a hunger cue, I don't trust it. So it's like, I'll be like, okay, am I really hungry? And until I'm like completely hypoglycemic, I won't trust. Like I was saying, like I'll be, if I miscalculate my dinner size and it's too small, and then I'm laying in bed at 1:45 a.m. like happened last night, and I'm hungry, so I have to get up and make food, and it takes until I'm like super uncomfortably hungry in that state because I'm like, okay, I'm ready for bed. Like I just want to go to sleep. I'll have breakfast in 8 hours or whatever. So that like I won't trust it then, and I'll have times where like I'm almost like hungry and full at the same time, which sounds really weird, but it's just like it's just hard to describe. I don't know. It's just weird, but like I just don't trust my hunger cues. So that's why I'll get them, but it's just that's why I like the structure around exercise is because it makes sense. Like, oh, I know this is going to expend energy and it's going to make me hungry, and I should prepare for it by eating some carbohydrates now, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's hard for me to trust those cues even when I do get them.
Yeah, well, I think that we've kind of boiled down to a few main points, and I kind of wanted to share those with you. That sounds good to you?
Yeah.
So I think that starting off with sleep is going to be super beneficial for you, and maybe we can set up some kind of plan for increasing your sleep and your quality of sleep. And I also think it would be beneficial to develop a system for using MyFitnessPal in your food planning in a way that supports you listening to your hunger cues. Some ideas that I have is maybe budgeting yourself a calorie volume that is appropriate, but consuming ad libitum, just as you are hungry and eating when you feel full, as opposed to pre-portioned or timed. So you can see what you have available for you the day, and perhaps being more lenient with making some interchanging, picking up something that maybe just really calls to you in the moment. And we didn't really get into your exercise habits, but I know you're a regular gym goer. But today we'll probably focus, if it sounds good to you, focus on sleep and using the MyFitnessPal to in conjunction with listening to your hunger cues. How's that sound?
Yep, it sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So moving forward with some things that you're gonna do at home. What do you think about how you could, apply your MyFitnessPal to better support your hunger cues? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I think what I do is almost all just like numbers and tracking, and I think it leaves out a lot of like the feelings and the words and like how it actually is to experience it. So I've heard of food diary or food journal, like more of like a journal than a you know just the tracking the macros or whatever. So like actually writing about my hunger cues and like how I felt full or like I was still hungry after eating certain meals, and that might help me avoid things like being hungry in bed at night or whatever.
Yeah. So. And on that note, I do have a handout, which is that sort of food journal. And if you'd like, you could take one with you. It works just how you're describing. You would write down what you were eating throughout your meals, and you will put down, maybe first we'll go over kind of the hunger satiety scale, which you might be familiar with from some of your nutrition classes. 5 being neither hungry nor full. A 10 is going to be totally stuffed, and a 0 is going to be you got to eat right now. So I'll give you on the back of this handout. It kind of describes the 0 through 10, so you can read about those. And when you decide that you're hungry to eat something or you choose to eat something, you can write down what number you are on the hunger scale before you eat, after you eat, and just some notes. And maybe you can see how it translates with also following your FitnessPal. Are you going to see a trend in your numbers? And maybe that might give you something to work with. So if you'd like to, you can take one of those with you.
Okay.
So I think that would be a good place to start. And what do you think about your sleep? What sorts of things do you think that you would like to do for that?
I should probably avoid blue light screens that, anything that's super stimulating before bed. It's just kind of hard because, like I said, my girlfriend stays up late, and she likes to watch TV or whatever. I've tried like reading before bed in the past, but at the same time, like that just makes my imagination kind of go wild. So that maybe it's not maybe it's not as bad as the blue light is for keeping me up, but it's still distracting. So
maybe finding something to do before you go to sleep that supports you falling asleep.
Like yoga, like not intense yoga, but like more like stretching, relaxation type things, meditating. I've never really full on tried meditation. Like I've tried it with friends and stuff when they were like telling me about it, but I haven't made it a part of my routine or anything. So I think that could be a good time to do that, and I could get my girlfriend involved in that and see if she wants to do it too, because I know she has trouble unwinding at the end of the day, and that's why she stays up late too. It's the same thing. So yeah, I think that would be good.
Great. Yeah, I think that would be a really interesting thing that we could talk about, if you decide to come in again, is what you find works best for you before you go to sleep, and what can improve your quality of sleep and the hours too. Okay, well, I think that we've kind of have gotten a good idea of who you are, your lifestyle habits, a couple of really good goals that we were able to bring down to a few main ideas that I think will be able to focus on, and it might also allow you to thinking about food, nutrition, health, and exercise, especially for an individual like yourself, you're just thinking about it all because you understand it so well. So hopefully through our meeting today, you've been able to kind of narrow it down to some key things that might have a trickle-down effect on the rest of your life. And some things that you're going to implement, like finding a way to wind down at the end of the day, and looking into your hunger and satiety levels to be able to really key into your hunger cues while still using your nutrition education on macros and micros and the plan that you set for yourself for the goals that you desire to reach. Is there any questions that I can answer for you, or anything else that you'd like to talk about before we end today?
I don't think so.
Great. Okay, well, if you would like to reschedule, we can just go back out to the front of the office and we can write down a time.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Okay.